Okay, from multiple boxes in the middle of nowhere, this is Around Midnight Somewhere. I am Joe Carbonetta. I am joined tonight by the usual cast of characters. I've got Chevelle Devine, who's, I don't know, a little confused at the moment, looks like. And I've got Todd Fluker. And, Todd, are you there?
What? Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Just barely. How are you guys all doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Oh, man.
Oh.
Just turning on the YouTube chat. Did you still hear me?
We can hear you. We can hear you, but just barely. Oh my goodness. Yeah, anything that can go wrong will go wrong, as is usually the case. And so it looks like our multiple cam via web has taken the opportunity to resize all the images yet again.
It loves to do that.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, if you guys
favorite thing to do.
If you guys talk amongst yourselves for a minute, I'll see if I can't fix that again, or try to. Anyway.
Well, I was turning on the YouTube myself so I can monitor the chat, and of course I see very professional, Chevelle. Very good.
That's not even my phone. I don't know what's going on
I saw one of the.
What was that? Does anybody
YouTube
know what that
video
was?
Suggestions. Yeah, well, is that one of your own creations, Chevelle? What is that noise?
That was a ringtone.
Oh, that was a ringtone. Oh, so you're getting a telephone call.
Anyway.
Is that what you're saying? You were getting a telephone call right now?
No, not my phone.
Okay.
Anyway, hey, what's going on?
Ah,
So yeah, YouTube was trying to tell me 15 zombie-proof houses you'll not regret seeing. Whatever with this noise.
That what? I think I that one. I'm not convinced they're zombie-proof.
I've noticed that
like,
the audio's going in and out tonight too, man. We are just having
zombies are.
a real problem.
They might be zombie-resistant, but are they zombie-proof?
I don't think they're zombie-proof.
I mean, is there anything as such as zombie-proof?
I think zombies could live on the moon. I don't think they require much. So.
I'm sorry. How
And
did
then
we?
they've got nothing but time on their hands.
How did we end up talking about zombies exactly? I mean, where did we? How did we get there? If
We were just
somebody.
talking about our viewers.
Oh. Speaking of which, despite the fact that this is a low-level disaster in the making, we are live this evening, and if you'd like to give us a call, you can join the conversation at 951-356-6882. That's 951-356-6882. Sadly, the screen that has the number is all goofed up, so we just have everybody's strange caricatures this evening for that.
I see some of Chevelle.
Yeah, I don't know. I might have to fix that too. I might have to just get rid of all of the.
Just do the singles and call it a night.
I think I think that's what we're gonna end up doing.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think we have any audio on the internet.
That's not great.
No,
No audio on the internet.
that is correct.
Well, that can't be good. We were definitely sending audio out. How could we not have audio on the internet?
Couldn't tell you. I don't know. Check it. See if I'm the only one that's not getting it.
No, I hear it. It's fine.
Oh, good.
All right. Yeah. See, so you're having your own issues there. All right. So,
First time.
obviously we would
What are we
be.
talking about?
Well, we can't escape the COVID situation. So how are you guys dealing with sequestration? Because that's really what it is. I mean, they call it social distancing, but it's really sequestration. Which one of you guys wants to chime in on that one first?
Distancing is a euphemism for ice. First off, and we have already escaped up in the mountains. It's you guys down there. I heard you guys got extended to August. You're on lockdown.
No, you know what? I guess it depends on what state you're talking
LA
about.
County, it's. I think it is to July. Yeah, at least.
I heard August.
Something like that.
That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. I went to the park today.
I mean, yeah, they're loosening up restrictions overall. Like, parks are now open in LA County, as far as I know. They are, I think they're open for just, general casual walkthroughs and a lot of hanging out, but most of the amenities are still closed. But I think they were working on opening up the rest, like tennis courts and other such things that don't need direct contact. Like, I don't think they're going to open up the courts because you got to be too close to people for crap like that.
How do you shut down a basketball court though? I don't get it. It don't make sense. I don't know, man. I see now why California, everybody except Californians.
I like the caricature. We're going with the caricature shot for the 3-shot now because that's all we can do for some reason because the multi-video is just not syncing. But again, if you want to join the conversation, 951-356-6882. That's the number to call, and you can be part of this train wreck in the making. All right, go ahead, CJ. I'm sorry. You were talking about closing basketball courts.
Well, seriously, not to get off topic immediately, but...
Oh, no, but that's what you do best, so...
I'm also immediately smacked in a bunch of red in California where we're trying an addition on our home, and literally it's going on 4 years to add one room onto, well, technically 2, but yeah, one is what we're to do, and it's taking 4 years. We thought we were done, but then now they're pulling us back in. We have a small landing put on our back porch, on the back side of the house for the back door. But now all of a sudden they're saying, oh, that's not up to code, and we're going to have to knock it down.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Oh, God. Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know why the building inspector okayed it, and we're like, cool, we're going with it. And now all of a sudden they're saying, maybe not so much.
Huh.
Just a cash grab, and you probably do well to just halt all construction until they get their crap together. I mean, you got the room done, so whatever other little thing it is, just they're gonna nickel and dime you to death.
Yeah, but if he stops that construction, he could be sitting with like a half-finished house for I don't know how long. That just be a big open.
They've gotten a little comfortable with it.
Well, yeah, that is the good thing, that we aren't sitting with open walls getting rained in on that freak rainstorm that we had like last weekend or whatever. That would be exceedingly.
Wait, you actually got rain last weekend? I mean, because all that happened here was it sort of spit from the sky to the ground for maybe like 10 minutes, and that was the whole thing.
No, it was a pretty good rain up here. It rained pretty good.
Huh. Well, I'll be.
Yeah, no rain. It's been windy.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're way out. You are totally out in the middle of nowhere. You wouldn't see rain even if...
It's been beautiful. No, it was a couple of weeks ago. It rained quite a bit. Not even really too much. No, it's been nice though. It's been really nice. It's definitely springtime. Allergies are starting to flare up. There's a lot of moths. Do you guys get a lot of moths?
Oh yeah. Doesn't everybody get a lot of moths?
Yeah,
I mean, seriously.
No.
It's bug season.
No, like a
bugs
lot.
All right.
Oh, I got pincher bugs all over my yard.
So there's this tree in my
we.
front yard, and when you look out there at the tree, it's just like covered in these brown leaves. And then when you kick the tree, the leaves fly away. So, a lot.
Huh. Okay. Well, so
that sounds like you got to get a video of that and post it to the Around Midnight group. I want to see this. It sounds interesting.
It's pretty gross.
So, CJ, you're one of those anti-vaxxer kind of people, right? You don't believe in the whole vaccines and that sort of thing.
It's a little more nuanced than that. Yes, I don't believe in mandated vaccinations.
Okay, so
That I would not.
just out of curiosity, where do you come down on the whole COVID vaccination? If they finally come up with something where they think they can actually prevent you coming down with COVID, are you going to partake in the vaccinations?
I'm probably not.
What about
No, I'm definitely not. I just no.
you, Todd?
Why?
Exactly.
Have you
Why?
heard- No, have you heard what it's like to have it? I
Yes,
remember
I have. I
hearing,
have
like-
personally know at least 3 people who have had it.
Sorry about that.
You have an intruder coming into the studio there? Is that what's going on on your end?
But seriously,
A guest appearance. That's what it was, a
had,
guest appearance.
Yeah, a cameo. I was the Joe Rogan show when he had that doctor on like weeks ago, something like that, talking about the realities of actually getting the disease, and even for perfectly healthy people, it is a nightmare. It is,
No,
super
it's not pleasant.
painful.
And the people that I know that have had it did not enjoy it at all.
Flu.
The term I keep hearing is you feel like you've been hit by a truck and it for about a week straight.
Just keeps coming back.
It just
Back.
and it's just in 2 years there's going to be a new one and they're going to need a vaccine for that, and then 2 more years there's going to be a new one, and then there's going to need to be a vaccine for that, and I don't want to do it. I don't like needles. Number one.
I was going to say, are you that afraid of needles, CJ, that you don't want
Yes,
to?
It is. I have a next level fear of needles. Like I almost punched a lady who was trying to draw blood for some lab tests because she pulled needles out. It's a visceral response.
If only I had a big picture of a needle right now, I would put it on just to see if he starts screaming like a girl.
One of
It's-
those. Yeah, you got to get one of those organ stings, like. Bum, 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 bum.
Oh yeah, we sort of have that. But I don't have the needle.
Yeah, I don't like needles. I like I understand the concern, but I have a fundamental problem with fear-driven policy. And
I'm sorry, did he say
I understand
fear-driven or beer-driven policy?
fear? Fear.
I'm all for beer-driven policy.
No, fear-driven policy. It's how we got the Patriot Act. And pretty much every bad thing that's ever happened typically.
Well, wait a minute. Fear-driven policy got you a check for $1,200 pretty recently from the federal government. That can't be so bad, right?
You can keep the $1,200 if it means I can go sit at the Jamaican joint down the street and enjoy some jerk chicken. I'm good. But for me to have to be locked down, and you in California, I don't know how you guys are putting up with this. For you to be on lockdown until August, when they said
It's
that this
simple.
thing was
I
gonna
don't
be
like
over in
dying.
May,
That's enough to
But,
keep me to
Joe-
stick around inside.
there are so many ways that people can die. And I'm not going to try to downplay the seriousness for those who have died. But the fact is, the vast majority of people who get it get over it. The vast
Majority. But if you happen to be in that little minority, and I don't go out looking for ways to see if I can kill myself.
Okay, I mean, if you want to live your life locked in your home for the rest of your 15
Oh, come
years,
on. Nobody's going to be living in here for the rest of their lives. And even if I did, it wouldn't be so bad. But Todd, do you feel like going
But
outside and playing Russian roulette today, just out of curiosity?
Listen, I do it. Go ahead, Todd. I'm gonna let you answer.
I'm gonna let you finish, but oh man, Chevelle, you remember that game BioShock? Oh man, that was
No,
great.
Todd, I hate that game.
Where the main animation where
no.
he powers, get a giant needle and jab it into his arm.
What has? Oh, you got back to the needle. I just want to know if you felt like playing Russian roulette and stepping outside today.
I mean, that's the problem. It's not that severe, but it isn't great. I mean, yeah, it is going around. You can catch it in the most inane way. You know, there's been outbreaks here in Pasadena. Like 3 weeks ago, there was some people who were having a big party. Apparently, I remember reading this story about how big party. They were like, forget the social distancing, forget the masks, and somebody at the party had it. And guess what? Everybody at the party had it after that party.
So how many of those people died?
I'm pretty sure all. Yeah, it was a bloodbath.
That does not sound good at all.
But no, here's the problem that I have.
One of many, I'm
They're
sure.
not treating this. The list is not going to lie. But my main one is they're not treating this like you're supposed to treat a health epidemic. They're treating this like sort of some type of like terrorist or Martian attack or something like that. There's very common sense things that people can do. I mean, I'm one of those people where I just don't want to give up that little bit of freedom,
But
so
Chevelle,
that I can be comfortable in my home. I'm not the type of person to sit here.
Do you hear about what these people are doing out there? There are people who are protesting because they don't want to wear a mask.
I don't.
Yeah, but
Yeah, but you don't want to wear a mask because then you have to smell your own breath.
Here's the thing though. Like, there's no real. A lot of these policies are reactionary, and that gets back to my problem. It's fear-driven. They keep pushing the bar further and further and further. When it first started happening, they said, okay, everybody just make sure you wash your hands, don't touch your face. Then it was, okay, maybe you should wear gloves, but masks are not necessary. Then it was, okay, well, you should probably wear a mask. And then it was, you know what? Never leave your home, never go anywhere, never talk to anyone. Everything's going to happen on the internet, and we're all basically going to be living in the Matrix in 3 months is what it is. We're just going to be having stuff jacked straight into our bodies, and we'll never have to leave the house, and we'll just live a virtual world.
Which brings him back to that total fear of needles.
It doesn't make sense to me. There are places where if people would just exercise common sense and common decency, a lot of stuff wouldn't happen. But there's a lot of stupid people. And
Chevelle,
LA is one of the stupid people capitals.
I really need you to keep your jazz out of my conversation. That would be great.
Wow, I think you got him quiet. He's not saying anything right now. I'm not sure. I've never seen that before, as a matter of fact. That's pretty impressive, Todd. Look, he's just rubbing his nose
That's the last
there.
thing I want to hear.
Well, the reason I brought up this whole thing about the vaccinations is evidently they have been conducting some low-level tests here and there. Most recently, they isolated something in rhesus monkeys, which apparently are relatively close, genetically speaking, to human beings. And what they have determined from these rhesus monkeys that they then infected with COVID, and then waited for them to recover, and then tried to reinfect them with COVID, is that once they've had it, they can't get it again. They do seem to develop an immunity.
Joe, that's been the case with pretty much everything. And
not with the flu, not with the regular flu. You get the flu, you can get the flu again.
With the regular flu, but it's always a different strain of the flu. That's why you have to get a different flu shot every single year. It's not like you're getting the same flu over and over and over. It's a different strain, and it's the same thing with this COVID. This is a different strain than the previous one, and it's got some very specific characteristics which make it highly contagious and extremely uncomfortable. But this is not any different than anything else. It's basically a very painful cold. So if you do things like wash your hands and don't be licking other people's face, you might be all right. And,
wash your butt.
Yeah. You ain't got to wash your whole butt, but at least wash your butthole.
Really? This is where we're going to go with this.
No, you should wash your whole butt, too.
I mean, if it's a choice between one or the other.
Okay, thanks for that,
you can
guys.
Get your shots if you want to. I'm just not.
Is that derailing?
Todd, what about you? Will you get the vaccine if the vaccine becomes available? Because it was a foregone conclusion that Chevelle would say no.
Yeah, I don't see a problem with it. I get flu shots, and I've never been a person who's really had any adverse, uh, effects, medical procedures. See some people being hesitant in the past have been allergic to certain things, penicillin, blah blah, latex. I don't know. They're allergic to weird stuff. I mean, and Chevelle's excuse, isn't you allergic to a bunch of stuff? Aren't you,
a couple of things, but yeah,
genetically weak?
How about that? I'm allergic to needles.
And
I'm allergic to some stranger coming and stabbing me and injecting me with viruses. That's not cool. Where I'm from, that'll get you punched in the face. You don't do that.
You're doing it for your benefit.
Yeah, you don't get punched in the face.
Wait, are you saying punching him in the face is for his benefit? I'm a little confused here.
If that gets me up in a court of law, then yes.
And also, I want to hear more about these Rhesus monkeys. Are they like the peanut butter filled ones?
Oh, God. Really? Where is that? Oh, here. How about that? That's a good one. That one was good right there.
Oh, man, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Hey, you got your monkey in my peanut butter.
Oh, it just keeps going.
Gross. That's just not. Ugh. Grody. Anyway, so obviously you're getting it, Joe, because you'll do whatever Uncle Sam says is good for the nation.
No. I just don't feel like dying, like I said. So if they can come up with something that vaccinates us, yeah, I'm all for that. I don't share your total fear of needles.
It's not even a fear of needles. I don't like the policies behind it. It's the same issue I have with pretty much every policy that tries to restrict freedom of movement, freedom of expression. I can't do it. I can't give it up. Let me die.
Oh, you gonna give it up?
I don't want to know where you're going with that, Todd. I really don't. Okay.
Anyway.
Yes, anyway, you were saying something.
I'm gonna do my live unboxing video.
Of what?
I got a delivery today.
Of what? Is this what it's come to?
You
wow.
Can't go anywhere to get it in real life.
That's it. We totally have to do a new show now where we just set up webcams in people's houses and they can do unboxing videos because we are all so starved for entertainment. We will sit there and watch you open up your order of toilet tissue.
I got my delivery of new glasses. I totally busted mine the other day, so I ordered some new ones.
Oh, thank God. I thought that was soap on a rope.
I'm sure they're straight from China. So,
Yep.
yeah, that's how you do it. Straight from Zenny Optical. Patent pending. This is not a paid advertisement.
I'm sorry. Are you trying to do commercials? Because, we can't do that.
I'm not directly doing a commercial.
Yeah, don't do
I'm
that.
Not doing it.
So those ones are busted then?
No, these are my backup ones.
Oh, they're just the wrong prescription. They're not strong enough. And those look too big.
They're all right.
Oh, no, I guess they're
Big
okay.
glasses go with the big beard.
Yeah, I like these. They're not bad. They're a little. I'd say they're even a little smaller than the ones I was just wearing, but yeah, I like 'em.
Interesting. All right, so Todd, how many fingers do you see right now?
If you're holding up your middle finger.
No, I wouldn't do that. We're a family show. I would never do something like that. Not on camera, anyway.
Come on. That would have been hilarious.
So I got a question, Joe. Like what is the point at which you decide you're going to push back? Like, you've been told you cannot go anywhere and not be able to entertain other guests in any meaningful fashion until the end of summer. Well, let's say the middle of summer.
Let's
August is
get
the middle
one
of summer.
thing straight right now. It's a
At what
strong
point-
recommendation,
at what point do you
but
push
they're
it
not
back?
going to send the cops to my house if I do it.
Okay, but what if they did? Because once they establish it as a policy, there has to be some method of being able to enforce that policy. So once it becomes a policy, technically they can actually send a cop to your home and tell you that you have to cease and desist with whatever it is you're doing. So are you okay with that?
I definitely would not want to have the police show up at my door and tell me I couldn't have a guest over. But it isn't.
Okay.
We're not there either, so I'm not really worrying about it. You're kind of like,
we are there, Joe.
no, we're
I
not.
think we are there, and okay. Well, then let me ask you this: if
All right.
you were to have a birthday party for your child and you had 10, 12 people over, do you think that they would just be cool with that? I mean, that is an actual violation.
We just established that it's happened in Pasadena very recently, and the result was that people got sick. Here would be my fear. I don't fear the federal government at all. If I got a group of people together at my home, I do not fear the feds coming and raiding my home by any stretch of the imagination. What I do fear is that somebody actually does get sick and then I get named in a lawsuit. That's what I fear. I fear the general public, not the government.
I think that's just as bad, but okay.
Just as bad.
Just the whole thing about it, just not doing something because you're afraid. The whole thing about being afraid to essentially live your life. The one thing that no one can disavow is that domestic violence has increased, depression has increased, suicides have increased since they've asked people to be in isolation. Because once you remove people from their social connections, and some people require a lot of social attention, then it's pretty much a death sentence for that person.
Yeah, I'm always amazed by the number of people that just hate their families and would, rather kill themselves than be locked at home with them.
That's kind of the reality of where we are, though. You have a society that does not know how to be around people now. So now they're being forced to stay with people they don't like, and they're not being allowed to go see the people they do like. Or just people, beyond that, you have people who are not being allowed to work and now no longer have a source of income. And in the situation in California, are being told they won't be able to go to work. This is not everybody, but there are some people who will not be able to go to work until August. That's 3 months away.
Yeah,
Actually,
that is
the last word that came down the pipe is that they're hoping to have everything pretty close to being reopened by July the 4th. That was what was being reported in most of the news media yesterday. Barring some kind of massive upswing in infections, they are gunning for July 4 to have everything pretty much back to normal,
Now,
sans probably having to still wear masks.
Now,
well,
here's
even
another
then,
situation.
Trump
That's
has
a moving
jumped in there
goalpost.
already, saying that they're not going to shut down again because if there's an uptick, so
That I just it doesn't seem like a good idea to be complicit in your own imprisonment. That's what it feels like to me. I don't understand it. And I'm not the type of person where I feel like I need to go out all the time. But if I want to sit down inside a Jack in the Box, I should be able to. That's
Yeah, but what
me,
if the
it seems
people
ridiculous.
inside the Jack
And
in the
then-
Box
and-
don't want you coming in there for fear that you'll get them sick?
so be it. If they don't want to do it, they can quit their job, or they can put a sign in the window that says that you can't come in. That's fine. But for the government to tell you you can't do it, that's a different thing. The restaurant industry, and specifically small businesses, if you leave aside all the change and everything, the restaurant industry and the retail industry, the massive retailers, they will be able to weather this because they've already got all of our money. But the mom and pop shops that have been struggling for the last 5-6 years, and restaurants that have been hit by, in California specifically, they've had additional increase in their health costs for their employees, additional increase in their wages for their employees, and their profit margins can only stretch so far because there's a fine line for where people are willing to pay. Like, you're not going to want to go spend for that. When that $1 menu at McDonald's becomes a $5 menu, people are going to stop going to McDonald's. So
Well, yeah,
at some point,
even-
you've got to decide.
I'm not seeing the downside to that one because that sounds like unhealthy stuff to begin with. So maybe McDonald's getting knocked down a peg or two. I'm not so sure that's a problem.
McDonald's can afford that. But even if McDonald's did get knocked down a peg or two, as a corporation, yay America. But for those individuals who are owners of franchises, they're the ones who are going to bear that burden. You can guarantee that the actual corporation itself is not going to have a problem. They will start cutting people off left and right. But for those people who've invested their life savings in opening up a place, or for those people who tried to open up something in, say, January and it's been shut down. There was a small barbecue place that tried to open up in the malls, which are already empty. All of the strip malls, all of the older malls and whatnot, people don't do retail anymore. So retail's already been hurting. And now people who've been trying to open up business in some of these fake vacant storefronts, take a drive down Colorado Boulevard and you'll see lease signs and a window on every single block. It's hurting industry and it's hurting people. So I don't like that, because then the government wants to step in and say, that's okay, we'll send you a stimulus check. Another example is this whole thing with these loans that the government was supposed to send out for these small businesses. The company that I work for actually applied for the loan. They were denied the first time, second time they got it. And I've heard this from several small business owners. Several of them are returning the money because the way that the restrictions are on the loan, it's very iffy whether or not you're actually going to be able to reap the benefits of the lower interest rates or whatnot, because there's so many caveats. And all you have to do is not dot one T and not cross one I. And not every one or two owner shops is going to have a bank of lawyers to read through all of these contracts and bank loan statements. So it's almost like you had a cash grab when you had the housing industry collapse. The banks foreclosed on a crap ton of people. You had the .com thing before that. What you're seeing now is the business equivalent of that situation, where now banks are going to start absorbing businesses. Government's going to start shutting down businesses and taking ownership of it. It essentially removes the American people from the American dream, and now you become a suckling at the teat of the government.
And the alternative is that we send everybody out there and possibly infect a whole bunch of people and then see exactly how many people COVID kills.
Look, if it's not COVID, it's going to be something else. And that's what I'm trying
But
to
it
say.
isn't something else right now. It's COVID.
But hold on, Joe. Hold on. No, hold on, Joe. First off, again, we're talking about moving goalposts. Because when they first started talking about COVID, they were talking about 2 million people are going to be dead by May if we don't do something. And then it keeps changing and changing and changing. And now they're trying to bend the narrative to say that COVID is actually a relationship, has this vague relationship with global warming. And they're going to try to push policies. That was the problem with the first stimulus package they tried to pass. The reason why they were fighting so hard is because they were trying to shove so much other unrelated stuff into the stimulus package. And I've always said from the very beginning, the government has one purpose, and that is to protect its own economic interests. And that does not include your economic interest. So they're going to do everything they can to make sure that their pockets get lined at your expense, which is what we saw when the banks collapsed. They bailed out banks, but people's homes were getting foreclosed on because the banks that they're bailing were jacking up rates on people and giving them loans that they knew full well they couldn't afford. That is not right. And we're seeing the same thing now with businesses. And they won't even let you out of your house long enough to do something about it.
Yeah.
Our YouTube viewer, Jeshima, is jumping in,
Why
saying,
are you saying her name like that?
Jeshima, she's...
Okay.
Joshua jumping in. She says anybody who's out of work can become an essential worker. Just start selling drugs.
Start selling drugs? Is that what?
Vaccine.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
I don't know.
Good plan.
Here's my problem is that Chevelle keeps harping on this idea that we can't go out, and that's not actually the case. You can go outside of your house.
Okay.
They are not
but
standing
Joe,
outside waiting to arrest you if you walk out the front door.
You know what I'm saying. No, not you as an individual, but if you as a business owner were to open up, there are all kinds of fines and all kinds of crap that they're threatening you.
And here's
with.
the funny
This is
thing,
what
that it's been going on now where more and more
how
people are
hard
just
is it
starting
for
to open up no matter what, and there have been no repercussions.
You have to understand, first off, when you have that policy in place, it means they have the ability to take action to shut you down. When you are allowing, it's like we can't go back and revoke the Patriot Act. Over the years, we have found out that the stuff we have been fed about Obama being behind all this other stuff, if we're so worried about Afghanistan, why do we end up in Iran after the towers went down? They were unrelated. It's because that was always the plan. So all I'm saying is people have to be careful about how much they give up, because you will never get it back. The fact that they're monitoring this program right now, YouTube will take us off the internet because we said something they don't agree with.
Speaking of things you never get back, I've spent the last half hour arguing with Chevelle about getting a shot.
That was the punchline, Todd.
Yeah, I didn't get it.
Time you never
I
get
don't know.
back.
People need to. The one thing that I will say is good about this is it's kind of forcing people to evaluate, really take a serious look at things like what is it you're willing to give up and what reasons are you willing to give it up for. Because years ago, Joe, this would have been a different conversation between me and you. Years ago,
Maybe,
you'd have been-
I don't know. You know what? See, here's the thing. I don't see myself as really having
More
given
hardline
up
than I am.
anything at all, quite honestly. I'm home, I'm fed. There's nothing that's going on outside that I absolutely need to be a
you
part of.
Are one of the fortunate, but you cannot argue with the fact that the unemployment rate right now is ridiculously high. You cannot argue with the fact that GDP is definitely down because we're not selling things in stores and we're not collecting taxes in restaurants. And you know for a fact that the government is going to try to find a way to make up that income. They're not just go 6 months sales tax from all the restaurants, without sales tax from all of the stores, without sales tax from all the car sales and all that stuff. They're not going to let this slide. You're going to end up paying for that for a long time.
Yeah, it certainly does make you grateful for what you have. Because, yeah, I think of us, especially, we're still working. We're still in our day jobs, so I'd say we all have a lot to be thankful for. There is a lot of people out there who are, in that. I know there's been a lot of government programs that have been coming out, food banks, and a lot of people in the city, that there's things out there for people to use if they don't have food or, I don't know, rent, help pay your mortgage. A lot of businesses, for the vast majority, they are looking out for number one.
Well, I, for one, am thankful for just being healthy. You're right. We are fortunate. We do still have jobs. And there are people who are in much more difficult situations than we are currently. That having been said, there's no guarantee that I'll still have a job next week. Anything can change anytime. But for me personally, I still value my health a little more than anything else. And I'm okay with having to be home for the moment.
Let me ask you a question.
Okay, go ahead, ask me a question.
If they lifted all of the restrictions tomorrow, would you still live the way you're currently living?
If I could stay home, I would. I would totally stay home for now.
And would you choose to have there is, I don't know, maybe you don't see it the same way, but there is the looming threat of enforcement if you decide you want to do something that they don't like. Are you okay with knocking hands with people? Are you okay with standing 6 feet apart from everybody in the line at Costco?
Well, again, you and I have totally different perceptions of things because you seem to think that the government's out to get you, and I don't perceive it that way. And I'm not really that concerned about the stay-at-home order. And quite honestly, there wasn't that much I wanted to go out and do in the first place anyway because Disneyland was too ridiculously expensive to start off with. Again, I'm kind of thinking some of these big companies maybe getting knocked down a peg or two isn't such a bad thing.
But
Traffic
it's not them that I'm worried about. It's not them that I'm concerned about. It's the small businesses that I'm concerned about. It's the mom and pop restaurants, the mom and pop shops, the ones that I like to frequent because I don't always want to eat fast food and I don't always want to eat the chain. All they do is they chop something up in a factory down in like that, ship it to their 9,000 shops all around the place. I want to go somewhere where there's a human being that actually cares about they own and are operating and prepares food because that's what they want to do. I have a cousin that's a chef, and he's not a whole lot he can do catering-wise. So there's not a whole lot of options. There's entire industry that's being shut down, and I don't think that's okay. I think those people who and stay at home are more than welcome to do that. You've always had that ability, but the second somebody tells you you must stay at home, that's where I have a problem.
I know. Anytime anybody tells you anything, that's when you have a problem.
Yeah, Chevelle just has a problem with some
Yeah.
telling him stuff.
So you have an
To do that.
authority complex, is what we've established.
You know what? No, it's not even an authority complex. It's not that I don't like being told what to do, because despite my undisciplined behavior, I'm actually a pretty disciplined person.
Yeah, let me ask
I
you a
just
question.
have a
What's
problem
your
with
feeling about
people-
red traffic lights? I mean, do you actually stop for those, or do you hate the fact that they tell you have to stop and can't go through the intersection?
Okay, I have two answers to that question. First off, I don't mind red traffic lights. I don't mind because a red traffic light is unbiased in its enforcement. Everybody has to stop that. But when you make it subjective, where it's person has to go and do some kind of, like, let's take Todd's situation with up he's trying to get built. That inspector tells him one thing, somebody else is telling him something else.
Wait.
They're not on the same page, and that's inconvenient.
I have to stop you right there because
Maybe stop for that.
in the city of Pasadena, traffic lights are not unbiased. They have those blasted sensors in the street, and they actually, when your car is coming down, that's what triggers the red light. Don't tell me it's unbiased, unless what your point is that they just stop everybody.
Not entirely, but even then, it's biased because it doesn't know who's driving that car. It doesn't care who's driving that car. It's all about gating traffic flow.
It's
And
just that there
that's
is
the way
a
they
car.
want to do it. Yeah, there's a car coming. If you were on seats, you could blow through that thing all day. Wouldn't bother you. If you're, and I happen to know that they usually try lights so that if you're going about 35 miles an hour, you can hit all the greens for like a mile and a half, 2 miles. If you're going 40, you're gonna have to slow down every other light. That's my personal experience.
That
But
is
it's
the
not
biggest
some person
lie
sitting there
ever.
looking
That
at
whole
you, okay, this
progression
person
thing where they've got those signs up that say if you go at a certain speed, that is such a lie. It does not work that way. No matter what speed you travel, you will catch every red light in that city.
They just don't like your 80s music. I think they have an 80s music sensor in those things. So when they sense 80s music, they're like, okay, Joe's coming.
You know,
We don't like him. in
I'm
our
not
town.
saying
We
that
need
that's
all to
not
stay
a
at home.
possibility also. I think that's entirely possible. But yeah, I mean, I
But
I
you
cannot get through
understand
that
my
town at
point.
any time
You
of the day without
understand
catching every red light at
my
every
point.
intersection.
Okay, but that's not. You would not be the only one saying that. But right now, Todd is the only person I know who's had to deal with the situation he's dealing with, and it's subjective. It's because one person told him one thing, another person told him something else. The right hand's not talking to the left hand, and this is costing him money.
And this
That's a
apparently
reality.
is not a unique situation. That's what you hear from anybody who's tried to do any kind of construction in California. It's just how it is. Everybody's got a horror story, especially, the contractors don't help. They're generally charlatans trying to sell you a bill of goods. But then the county isn't helping either. We're trying to find out if inspectors just information for it's good for not. They're fighting for what's best for them. So we're trying to contact the city and get some information. How receptive do you think they are?
I'm gonna say very.
Yeah, 0. We've gotten 0 response.
And
We got automated emails saying, "Oh yeah," and then
when they give you some fact response, like this is what it says, this is what you're going to do, and then if somebody who knows that inspector or somebody who knows the person that sits in that whatever that little committee is that oversees that, there's for a fact there's tons of people who are getting away with stuff because of who they know. If it was a completely automated system, I probably still wouldn't be happy with it, but at least it would be fair because everybody would have to go through all of those same steps.
Yeah, you don't have
But
to push
when
the
you make
buttons
it
and never get to a
arbitrary-
real person ever.
But when you make it arbitrary and when you make it so that it's subject to somebody's interpretation, that's when I have a problem because that's basically what you see at the national level.
Well, but see, no, wait a minute. The government is telling everybody to stay home. They're not
Well,
just
see,
telling
that's
some
the
people to
thing.
stay home. They're telling everybody to stay
Pelosi
home.
says one thing, Trump says you're going to have 50% of the population that says Trump is wrong and 50% of the population that says Pelosi was wrong. In reality, both of them are probably wrong, but because they've already made up their minds and they already have their allegiances, they're going to freeze the entire progress of whatever it is they're working on because they don't want to give a little, they're like they want to cooperate with each other. That kind of thing to me is unacceptable. There should be a point where you allow people, you should allow people to be stupid. If somebody wants to run out and do something, they end up getting COVID and dying, that's on them. I understand if they run out and give it to somebody else, that's a bit of an issue, but the other person has the opportunity to choose not to go out there. Like me, I'm not an Indy race car driver because while I like to go fast, I don't like competition. I don't like lines.
Yeah, but
So-
see, here's the problem with your philosophy here. Okay, so you're saying you want to go out and you want to get sick, that's your business. But then what happens when you get sick? Then you're going to want to go to the doctor. Now the doctor's got to deal with you because he can't turn you away because he's legally obligated to try and save you. So now he gets contaminated,
Might have
he
to
gets sick
choose
and die.
somebody
And
else
what
to
about
work
all the
together.
other people that were in the
They also
hospital for
wanna go to the
unrelated
doctor.
issues that are
So,
now in
here's the
jeopardy of
problem.
becoming infected because you decided you wanted to go out in the street because you
Let's
couldn't
talk-
handle being told you needed to stay home for a little while?
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about all the health workers that are currently not doing anything because they're not putting people into the hospital for this pandemic that did not happen at the levels that they thought it was going to happen. Now, I'm all for being prepared, but at some point, you've got to admit our projections were incorrect. Instead of keep trying to throw stuff on there to make it look like you made the right decision, at some point, you've got to say, hey, we're wrong about this. Let's look at the actual numbers and make it look like we were correct. When you-
But maybe the
if you
actual
really
numbers are as low as they are because we all stayed home.
Maybe there are. So maybe we should be allowed. Are we going to all stay at home so nobody can get sick? Because I'm not okay with that. At some
We know you don't like people telling you have to stay home. You didn't like it when your parents told you had to go to your
No, I
room when you
don't.
were young either, right?
No, I don't. And I don't like it when my wife tells me that either. My point is this. At some point, you have got to let people live. And if you're comfortable with the nanny state, God bless you, my son. I'm not.
Joshua says, use your side voice.
Use your what?
If you're okay with the nanny state, Joe, then so be it. I, for one, am not. Is that better?
There is no nanny state. You
Much
are
better.
blowing this way out of proportion. My goodness, nobody's
Oh my
enacted
God.
martial law yet, my
You cannot
friend.
have it both ways. You cannot have it both ways because if it comes to the president's mouth, you're the first one to jump down my throat talking about taking everything we ever doing and how he's trying to destroy the nation.
I think
So
one of the
don't do
greatest
that.
things to come out of COVID was
There is
suddenly the fact that
definitely-
gasoline prices took a nosedive and there was no traffic on the road for a little while. It was beautiful. And now it's all
Why-
gone.
Why did gasoline prices take a nosedive? Joe?
Because nobody was driving, so nobody was using the
Nobody has-
gasoline.
Nobody has money, and nobody has a job to go to. I'll take the high gas prices if it means that my neighbor can go to work.
What
I'm
about you,
not
Todd?
that selfish.
You're totally quiet on this.
But seriously, why did that gas take a nosedive? What does this situation have to do with gas prices?
It's
No
basic
bad thing.
capitalism, supply and demand. If you have a massive supply and no demand, then the price just goes through the floor. That's how it works. That's
And it's not
capitalism.
even that nobody wants to use gas. It's that we have a lot of people who have no money because they're not working, so they can't even get gas.
But why
That's
would they
not a
adjust the
problem.
price of a known commodity if you have this gas? And yeah, there's some people still going to use it one way or the other, but the people that are still using it are going to buy no matter what. That's generally the way gas. So why are they adjusting the price?
Because if you have people who are not making money, like I had to take a pay cut for a while because of the loss of income to companies companies nationwide that panicked. They freaked out. They're like, I don't know if we're going to be able to make it through the next quarter, so they pulled back. You have companies that are canceling subscriptions to different services. Companies are scaling back services. Restaurants are closed. Do you think they're still going to be paying whatever it is for all of the auditing and all the back of house stuff they're doing? They're not.
Oh
paying
yeah,
for that.
companies are doing. Most companies are forcing people to
So-
take vacation times. There's a lot of stuff going on to on the back end.
And if nobody's making money, nobody's going to be able to spend money. So if you want people, first off, you're not letting people go anywhere. So companies are taking a hit on that. It's kind of ridiculous to think that the prices would stay high. Frankly, I'm happy as heck that they're down. I'm going to take advantage of that.
Oh, wait. You were
I'm
just complaining about
on that
how you would be totally happy with the high prices if you could not have to stay home.
0 to 70 in like 7 to 8 minutes or something like that. But I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I'm doing like tank just to get out of the driveway.
So I'm curious, like, how much have you gone out in the last few days? Are you going around, out as much as you possibly can?
More or less, yes. Yeah, I've got at least 4 or 5 times a week, at least.
To where?
My wife goes to work every day. I go shopping. We went to the park today. Go, there's whatever's open. I'm going.
Yeah, I go almost
Just
nowhere.
Just to go drive. I don't want to just sit in the house all day long. That's not. You need to get out.
I think you need to adjust your normal view of get out of the house. What for?
What fun to live.
There's plenty of fun to be had at home.
Let me put it to you like this, Todd. Would you want to be cooped up in a house with me 24 hours a day for the next 3 months? Is that what you're saying? Is that what you want?
I'm starting to get what you were saying about the domestic violence thing.
So let me get this straight. You're saying that you can't even stand to be inside the house with yourself? Is that where this is going now?
Yeah. I mean, there's moments when I'm feeling that way. Yeah, if I'm being honest.
Have you considered bathing once in a while? I mean, just out of curiosity.
I'm not seeing the relationship, but I'm going to go with you on this one. Yes, Joe. I consider it.
Jashima says she goes out every day.
Why not? Why?
Well, where is this Jashima? Where is
go to the grocery store?
Where is this person?
I don't know, ma'am. Ask her.
I mean, is she in California? I'm assuming this is a she. Is she in California? Is she in? Cause I'm saying it's a she because it ends in an A. So because the name is not such a common name. But
Philadelphia.
And Philadelphia. Okay, what is the concentration of COVID in Philadelphia? Does anybody know? I mean, I don't have that statistic in front of me.
I don't know what it is, but I can tell you that the concentration everywhere is lower than what they projected.
I hate this new world of doing everything online because you don't know who you're talking to. So, I mean, at least when you get a phone call,
probably get out and meet people face to face.
I think it's we're gonna go full Demolition Man after this whole thing.
What's that?
Any more contact? People are just gonna be, giving the high five and giving ease.
Yeah,
and then
you're not gonna do the shoe tap thing, Todd, like they were doing in those Asian countries.
The what?
Yeah, you didn't see that those videos at the onset of COVID where they were greeting each other by tapping shoes. It was almost like some kind of strange dance.
Oh, how strange! I didn't hear about that. And Jashima says, on it. Hey, yo.
What?
I don't know.
You broke up. I didn't catch a word of what you said.
Oh, Jashima says, I'm personally not concentrating on it. I think that's a joke.
Oh, okay. There we go.
There you go. That's good. Good enough.
This guy. This guy.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I say, it obviously
Right,
is different depending on where you are. If you have a high concentration of people and a lot of numbers where the virus is concerned, then I understand the need to sequester everybody. On the other hand, there are areas where they have shown that there aren't a lot of people to begin with, and the levels of infections are relatively low. And if the levels of infection are relatively low, I can understand you might want to relax some of those rules. L.A. County's got some pretty high numbers. So, hence the need for the social isolation.
I don't like that, man. I don't like it.
You'd prefer it if the numbers were higher?
Yeah, man, let's be honest. It's all about population control. Anyway, just let people go out and let them die.
I think that the reason that we're getting all this to begin with is because this is some kind of man-made thing. This is my personal speculation. This is some kind of man-made thing that somehow got out, and they weren't exactly sure how bad it would be, but they knew it could potentially be pretty bad. That's what I think.
So, have you followed the chains that people are putting together based on how they think this came about?
Oh,
Yeah,
I read all those things. The problem is you can't believe everything you read on the internet.
Anthony says it's Darwinism at work.
Let it happen. Let it happen. Let it happen.
Well, let me ask you, do you think this is a naturally occurring phenomenon, or do you think it had help?
Both. I believe it had help. It is natural. It does occur, but from the things that I've seen from independent sources, rather than the people that are trying to shove the obey down your throats, there's clearly, in order for it to happen the way it did, there had to be a scientific push to get the virus to develop the way it did in the amount of time that it did. That's what I'm hearing.
Todd, what's your opinion? Was this a
about
natural
these connected to
phenomenon,
it,
or
these were taking advice amongst.
were there more nefarious forces at work?
You could certainly make an argument for something this virulent getting out. I mean, yeah, did it in the you ever figure out if it came from a meat market in China where somebody was eating bat, or just not washing their butthole?
I don't know, but of course our
Or-
president likes to keep
or-
referring to it as the Chinese virus just so he can add flames to everything, He likes dumping raw fuel, on everything he possibly can, because his personality just is incendiary. That's
I
it.
think all of that is smoke. All of that is smoke screen. All of it is smoke screen. People have to get beyond the smoke screen and the BS and just decide how you want to live the rest of your life. If you're happy living the rest of your life the way it is right now, so be it. The decision people need to make right now is how much longer are you willing to live like this? What is it you're willing to give up? Because those are decisions people make every day. When you move into a large metropolitan area, there's a lot of things you put yourself at risk for. When you move well into the moons, there's a lot of different things you put at risk for there. How long do you want to deal with this situation, whether it's man-made or natural? There is definitely a human response that has been applied to the situation that is the way you're living your life right now.
Or
How
is
long
that
do you
just how things have been to be that miraculous set of circumstances that made this happen? Anthony keeps chiming in. He said how this, the DNA is similar to something naturally occurring. It's definitely similar to something.
That's
And
why
I mean,
this one has a specific tag.
People watching a video talking about how these things, there are always things around the world who are keeping an eye on these things, and they said this one they thought of jumping cold to being able to infect humans, but
Until humans
it
help it along.
It just happened. It just happened to. It just happens. It happens sometimes.
Yeah. All right.
Well, okay, all right.
I'm
So,
sorry, I just don't give you. People are evil.
So we all seem to agree that there might be a bit of a push behind this in some way, that it didn't just happen.
It was so bad. It was really. I mean, especially at the start, kind of targeting the elderly, and you're like, oh man,
That's like the flu does that.
yeah. Or just a hot day does that.
Yeah.
A hot day could take out.
All right.
Standing in line.
Well, guys, it's time for us to get on out of here now. So hope you enjoyed the show this evening, and we'll be with us next time for another disaster in the making right here on Around Midnight Somewhere.